My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jope, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Another beautiful day with another beautiful human being. Welcome to today's episode. And with me today is Steph Mahony, and we'll be talking about how to activate, step into your $1 million life. And this has nothing to do with having $1 million in the bank, but everything to do with how you feel on the inside. I love Steph because her work is the most genuine I have found and the less confused. Like, it's the least confusing and most genuine that I have found out there. And so I am excited to be interviewing her because, one, she's a divine channel, which means she really has a source that she's channeling from. She's not one of those people who say, I want to show you this, yet they haven't done it. Yet it's coming from a place of I want money, a place of fear, a place of all of these things. So I like Steph because there is something about Steph that you will love as we go through. We're going to talk about how to have your $1 million life. We're going to talk about her blueprint. We're going to talk through her work step by step so that you can begin to understand how this would apply to you. My belief is that when we're put on this planet, we are all put on this planet with a cause, with a purpose, there is something that you're supposed to achieve or do in this world. And a lot of things happen along the way that keep us further and further away from our gifts. And so between us and our gifts is all this darkness that exists. And unfortunately for us, we had nothing to do with it. Our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents handed over something to us that was already contaminated. And really what Steph does is help people clear that so they can step into that divine person that was meant to be in the first place. So if you're in a place where you feel like this is not the life that you want your best life, you want your $1 million life, there's no one better than Steph when it comes to helping you step by step into this life. Where do you start? How do you proceed? And how do you get there to a place where the money in your bank doesn't reflect how you feel about yourself? To a point where whether you're married or not doesn't define you. To a place where no one likes your post or nothing. Doesn't matter because you're not defined by that. Without saying much, I want to bring Steph on because I believe that this is going to be a conversation that blesses you. So scan around your phone and ask yourself, who do you want to see really get their $1 million life? Slide into their private space, invite them to this conversation. Or do it at the end. It's all up to you. Welcome, Steph. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to bring you on the best kept secret because I believe that you're the best kept secret.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here, Prima. I really appreciate the honor.
The first time I saw your work, I was like, there goes another person, have it all, $1 million in the bank. And then your video was like, let me start by saying $1 million life has nothing to do with how much money you have and don't have. Yeah. And I was like, I like her. It was the first time I had someone talking about stepping into your divine higher self and not attaching that to money. And that is what attracted me to your work. And that is how I started slowly by slowly learning about what you do and really falling in love with it. So today I am super, super excited. Let's help the listener decipher what you do slowly by slowly. What problem exists today that your work solves? What's the problem? Like, what are we missing? What's the problem that we have that we don't even know?
Absolutely. So the problem is that most of us are living a life of perceived happiness, of living in the illusion of perfection, where we're all meant to have these perfectly curated Instagram reels showing us living our best life. Everyone is happy, everyone's perfect, everyone's smiling. But what's really happening in this society at this time is that as soon as they turn off Instagram, they go back to this place of brokenness, crying, seeing how many people actually liked it. They're comparing their Instagram life to everybody else's and feeling inferior. And they end up downward spiraling into really deep states of depression, feeling that they're not enough, feeling like they're living on the sidelines. Perhaps they're living somebody else's dream for their life and they're not living their own dream. Perhaps they're in a toxic loop of relationships that are keeping them feeling misunderstood and unhappy, whether that's through friendships, through relationships. So there's a lot of brokenness that's happening in this modern day world. And what happens, so there's brokenness and then there's the law of attraction. So everyone's like, that's okay. So I'm going to use the law of attraction and pretend my life is okay. I'm going to will it into being. And so everyone's using the law of attraction. They're using these manifestation words, but what they don't realize is that you actually don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. So if you're smiling to the world and showing this world a beautiful face, it's not that what you're attracting back to your life. You're actually attracting who you are inside. That's your emotions, right? So if you're feeling broken, you're actually attracting more circumstances, people, situations to keep you stuck feeling in that energy of brokenness. So that keeps us stuck. That keeps us in the loop of the law of the circle where the life will keep repatterning itself to feel that way, that you are missing out, that you aren't as good as you should be. And it's not that we live with in a universe that is bad. It's just that the universe is neutral. It only responds to how we're thinking. God always says yes. We're here as creators of our life, and whatever we hold to be our truth inside is what keeps reflecting in our outer reality. So if we can change that, our whole outer space will change.
That's so good. There's a lot of reels, and if you're not careful, you can begin comparing your real life with someone else's reel, which is the fastest way to hate yourself and start doing things that you don't want to do to cope up or to measure up. And before you know it, you hate your life.
That's
Steph,
right.
I'm
Because everyone
curious.
else is showing off their perfectly edited, curated
Yeah.
best moments, cherry picking the best parts of their day, not showing the full picture. And I get it. We all want to show our best self to the world. And it's not that we're bad people doing this. It's just that we're living in the illusion of perfection where everything has to be perfect. And when our life doesn't measure up to be perfect, we feel like we're doing something wrong. And that really distracts us and sets us off course for what's really important, which is up here. And that's your North Star. That's your fulfillment. That is your purpose, your sacred dharma of what you're supposed to do. So my job as a divine healer, teacher, and the founder of a program we'll talk about is to put people back into divine alignment so that they can actually achieve and fulfill the highest timeline of their destiny. And that is abundance. Abundance is our natural state. Abundance is God's will for you. You were meant to live a happy life filled with inner peace and joy and happiness. And anytime we're not in alignment to that frequency, it just means that we're a little bit off course. But the good news is that because we have the power, we can shift, change, and pivot back into this place of alignment where we are actually feeling happy. So that's the beauty of our world is our power, and it's awakening people to their power to activate their highest potential and pivot them into the right direction.
Steph, I'm very curious. How did we get there? Like, how do we get to a place where we are making decisions from a place of scarcity, a place of fear, a place of anxiety, a place of how do we move from what God has created us to be and finding ourselves in a place where we're totally disconnected and we're making decisions from all of the wrong places. Give me an idea of how we got here, because most of us have no idea how we got here. So
Yeah.
help me understand, like, how did we get in this place where we're just trying to be perfect and show everyone that we're perfect, but really on the inside, it's dark. Like, how did we get here?
100%. So we all come into this world, and it's not our first time here. We've come many, many lifetimes. And because we're all energy, energy can't be created or destroyed. It only can be transformed from one thing to another. And that is manifested in this case through our incarnation into this world. And what I've been shown from divinity is that, we all come from the absolute world, which is a world of perfection. That is perfection. We are all bright, shining stars with all knowledge, all wisdom, all understanding. But the only thing we don't have is all doing. We don't have experience. We don't have the ability to experience what it's like to be unique and have our own identity because we're all perfect and brilliant in this other place. So we chose to separate from this absolute world and experience what it could be having a life in a human body. And the only way that you can do that is to come into a world of polarity. So polarity isn't just light, it's also darkness. It's the yin and yang. So God isn't just love, God is everything, right? God is the light and darkness. He's just created this place for us to experience it all, because how would you know good if you didn't know bad? How did you know light if you wouldn't know darkness? How would you know up if you didn't know down? So we have the law of polarity where there's always two poles of extreme circuits, and everything is the same, right? Just as temperature, it could be hot and cold, but it just varies in degree. So when we come here into Earth, we are meant to experience it all. We're meant to experience who we are as people and what our identity is, and it's creating a self-awareness, right? And through this, we learn through trial, through obstacles, through growing. And based on our choices, based on our actions and reactions, we also accumulate some karma. Could be karmic blessings for the good things you do, could be karmic debt for perhaps the not so good things you do. And it's always reflected back to you. It's kind of like a boomerang. Everything comes back to you in different forms of people, places, situations. And when we don't take care of that karmic debt, so if we wrong people and it comes back to us and we just pretend it doesn't exist or we avoid it, and we keep giving the illusion of our happiness, but we keep avoiding these things. Sometimes what happens is that the tower will fall so that you're forced to face these things. And when you're not in alignment to your highest self, to your highest potential, to self-mastery, to living a life to fulfill your higher purpose, you will always feel that there's something off. You'll feel unhappiness because your soul is in alignment to what it charted to do here, because we have charted it all. We didn't come here with an aimless mission. Our whole life is based on contracts, blueprints, and our destiny comes to this place. And through free will, we get to choose how quickly we accomplish this. But it's a really interesting place because we're all doing this blindly. We're all doing this in the dark. The universe knows our thoughts, our feelings, everything is absolute. It's infinite. It has the precision to know everything at all times, but we don't, because we're in human bodies. So our job is to learn and grow, but at the end of the game, to be kinder, gentler people with softer hearts and showing love versus angry, green, scary monsters who react terribly when we don't get our way. because our choices will either upward spiral us to our North Star, our destiny, or will downward spiral us to our rock bottom.
Mm.
So that's a lot of people are experiencing rock bottoms,
Mm.
or they're stuck in a loop where they're maybe not making the wrong choices, perhaps, and being, they're really good people, but
Mm.
they're in a place that they know they shouldn't be. They're in a job that they've outgrown, but they're scared to find anyone. They're in a relationship that is very abusive and toxic, but they're scared to find anyone and they're scared to leave. They're in this toxic loop where they're not angry enough in their circumstances to make a change, but they do find comfort in that familiar environment, so they choose to stay there. So their life keeps repattering in this emotion of unhappiness, unfulfillment. So
Mm.
my job as a healer is to help all of those people who have hit rock bottoms and people who are stuck, to show them the pathway to untangle the web they're in and put
Mm.
them into divine alignment that will help them to achieve this place of inner peace, joy, and happiness.
That's really very good, because I love what you said when you said the goal is to get to a place of abundance. Because when you're in a place of abundance, you make healthy choices. Problem is when you're not, when you're in a place of fear, when you're in a place of scarcity, when you're in a place of brokenness, every decision is made from that place and made
Yeah,
by that place. And that is why there's a loop, because the place you make
yeah,
the decision isn't healthy. I
that's
love your
right.
work. I love to look at it like most of us are walking through life blindly, and your work is helping us consciously decide that we're going to be deciding what influences us, what patterns, what programs, what choices, where we go and where we don't go. So, like, I look at your work as a difference between I'm fondly going through life is happening to you, and the place where you say, I am choosing the path of consciousness. I'm choosing the path of developing and learning and healing,
Mhm.
and getting closer and closer to my North Star, and overall activating all of my gifts and chances and being the human being that brings that positive vibe, that grace, that love, all of the things that are missing. That you choose to be the vessel through which those
Mhm.
things fill.
Exactly.
This conversation wouldn't be complete if I didn't go through your story. On your podcast, you say I came from nothing to everything. And I would
Mhm.
love for you, if you don't mind, to step into that place and share your story of
Yeah,
from where most of us are to where you are as a divine channel, as a
for
healer, as
sure.
a master
Absolutely.
manifestor. Yeah.
So I grew up in a beautiful family with parents who loved me fiercely, but the problem was I didn't love myself and I felt completely unworthy even as a little child. And as a result of, because we attract what we feel, I
Mm.
was uh, finding myself in situations of feeling always inferior, um, always saying yes to people because I had no voice to say no. And as a result, I was living other people's life for me and acting in a way that I thought I should be just to please everybody. I found myself as a result being sexually assaulted and not having the voice to say no or tell anybody. I found myself in an eating disorder as a result of modeling and having a photographer tell me that I wasn't the body size that I should be. And from all of this place of lack, I literally just started dating the first person who would accept me, which turned out to be a very toxic relationship. It was narcissistic. I lost my identity. I mean, I couldn't even wear a seatbelt with driving with him because he was very offended that I didn't trust his driving capabilities. I lost my friends. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. It was a really, really hard time. I didn't have anything. And it was in that moment one day where um, I was forced to face face him. He said something like, "I love you," and I was like, "Thanks." And he said it again, and it just felt so hollow. So I was like a shell. It felt so empty.
Mm,
And I didn't even know what to do because I didn't have anybody else in my life. I was actually going to school with this person. So the next day, my parents were going to church. It was Sunday, and they decided that they're going to drag me with them because they heard me crying all night. And I eventually found I was sitting in the pew, not listening to anything. I had no relationship. I had to because my family was religious, but I had no relationship in my heart with, God or Jesus or anything like that. I was more really pissed off because
mm,
I'm like, how does a good girl get to have a life that's so unhappy and stuck and
mm,
people keep abusing me? Like, what type of God is this,
mm,
And so I kept contemplating, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And at one point I looked up at the cross and it was more immediately I felt it. I felt what I needed to do and leave this relationship. And it was the most scariest thing because I didn't know how I was going to do it. I would literally leave to nothing. And I did find the courage to do that. I did leave this place, but I downward spiraled into such deep states of depression where I was suicidal. Um, I didn't have any worth and desire to live in this world anymore. I didn't understand it. Um, so eventually that's when I heard an inner voice, which was give your life to me. And I knew who it was, but I was really still very upset. And I was like, you know what? No, I don't want another person, another man controlling me. So I'm like, I pushed it away. And then my life got into really very, very dark states of rock bottom, of despair and hopelessness and no loneliness. I literally had nobody in my life. And that's when the voice came back to me, and I was like, "You know what? You can have whatever it is of this disgusting, pathetic life that I have." And in my mind, I just threw it and I walked away. And it's not that anything happened immediately, but slowly, 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 it was transforming. And I start to see kind of like a flashlight over my life of how to untangle this deep web of despair and depression and anxiety that I was in. And I started to see a pathway and I started to hear higher choices and I started to see light in through different perspectives. And what I can tell you now is that this is what my program is, but I never had words for it. So I shifted my life from being this broken girl with an eating disorder and just the person everyone felt so bad for. And I transformed it into this life where I'm living the highest timeline of my destiny. I ended up manifesting my twin flame and soulmate. We were also told we can never have children. We now have, I call them my $1 million family, 3 healthy children. We are living in our dream home. We are so genuinely happy. I found a career that gave me a lot of fulfillment. And now I'm stepping above into a higher level of my purpose, which is what this is.
mm,
And now I'm here. I was shown to show people the pathway, the blueprint of how I transformed this mess that I was in so
mm,
that other people could do the same.
mm. And I've never actually heard your story. And
Oh,
I got goose pimples when you were selling it. It's such a beautiful story. I couldn't help wondering the stuff that now exists. If that's the stuff that met the narcissist, what could have happened then? Like, would that have been better? Would you have never
you
chosen the
know,
person? Would you have like the stuff that is now whole and complete, divine channeling at the highest frequency she can ever be? If this stuff was, uh, this is
yeah,
imaginary. If this was the stuff in the first relationship,
yeah.
what would have happened? What would have been
You
different?
know, Prima, that's probably the best question I've ever been asked in
Mm,
my whole life because this is everything. So I believe with all of my heart that our inner wounds are the parts of us that are unhealed
mm,
and trigger us. And we fall into this place of victimhood and it's fight or flight, right? So when I was unworthy, I was willing to say yes and accept anybody who would take me, which is why I accepted it for so long.
Mm.
The stuff today has found my inner strength, has found my purpose. The frequency, we're all frequencies. So before I was all the way down here, and now I'm all the way up here. If I even had a friendship that disrespected me this way, it would just roll right off of me. I would be like, send them love, and I would let people go. I would not accept anything, never mind allow myself to endure so much pain for so long, you know?
Mm.
And I think that that's like the biggest takeaway, right? Whatever we have inner wounds on is what downward spirals us. It's the universe trying to show us what parts need to be healed. And I know that I've healed from this place of old stuff because I would no longer accept that in my life. It
Mm.
would be kind of like it would roll right off of my aura. I would see a person and I'd walk right past them because
That's
energetically we're not
yeah.
aligned.
So I do want to take you to a place you probably we've never been taken to, but I feel like you have the divinity to decipher this. Everybody says he was a narcissist and I flee. He was an abuser and I flee. When I look at them, there is something about me that looks for love. What is the good about that person? What could, like, someone could be a murderer, serial killer, and I'll find a way to find one tidbit of them that is not so bad. And I'm just wondering if being a narcissist is a disorder, is trauma that is unhealed, is from coming
Yes.
from rock bottom. And I am
Yes.
wondering if these people really, if they had a Steph in their life, they'd be challenged to either step up or lose her, and they would go, oh my God, is there a place for a narcissist to heal and
Yes.
come clean? Is there a place for someone to be with a narcissist, but because they are healed and complete and they are unwilling to accept anything other than what they need, this person is blessed to wake up and raise the frequency and heal? Because while everybody says narcissist, blah, blah, I see trauma. I see brokenness. I see disorders. I see people that really need help and possibly don't have what it takes to go pick it. And so I don't know if
Yes.
this is a proper question for you.
100%, you're nailing it.
Yeah, I want you to step in there and help people understand if there is any hope, or these people, like, how can we best support them if they're in our lives and we've chosen the
Yeah.
path of healing and we've chosen the
Yeah.
path of being mirrors? How can someone assist, support a person like that if there is a bit of them that is open to it? Or is it when you see them run, like, give me some wisdom
sure.
there? Because I feel like there's a lot of women who don't know what to do, and the only thing they know is run. But I also look at these human beings and I go, if everyone keeps running from them, when will they get healing? What is the point at which they will be able to get from that rock bottom and get the first dose of healing? Because I believe that inherently human beings want to be good. Yeah.
So we're all light and darkness. So
Mm.
we come to a world of polarity, of light and darkness,
Mm.
but that's also who we are. That's the higher mind and the lower mind, the ego and the higher mind. The higher mind is the part that's connected to God. The ego is the lower mind. The Kabbalah calls it actually Satan, because it's the part that's very reactive. It's all about me.
Mm.
We are both. We're the higher mind and the lower mind. The degree of light and darkness is very different for all of us, but we are all light and darkness. There was light in Hitler. There was also darkness in Mother Teresa. So we have to know that nobody here is perfect. There's no such thing as good or bad people. It's just people who do good or bad things. When you look at a person who has trauma in their life, they don't show this because of this shield to protect them. And it's a defense mechanism that sometimes they push it so far in them that they forget it, but they're very reactive and spiky energy to other people. And nobody understands why. But if you were to look at a child, a person, and take, the face, they have like a chip on their shoulder. And if you're to take that first layer off of their face, what you would see is this person who's like pissed off to a person who's angry, like really, really angry. Then you take off that next layer of a face, and then you see it's actually sadness, not having a voice, feeling misunderstood, feeling really depressed, hopeless, and happy, right? It's really sadness. And then you take off that other face, that layer, and what it is actually a child, their inner self, crying in a corner with their head in between their legs, feeling alone.
Wow.
A lot of who we are comes from this place of childhood that we are, as adults, trying to heal and overcome. In addition to that, the energy that we are part of and created also comes from our past lives. The things that we haven't been able to overcome gets carried forward to your next life for the opportunity to come again. So the more you don't address these things, the more magnified it becomes, where you're forced to face it. And a lot of us don't know how. My program is the solution to this and is the fastest way to accelerate above the law of the circle. It's like a ladder. So when you're dealing with people who are narcissists, when you're looking at people who are murderers, when you're looking at people who are convicted criminals, all of these people have light within them. They could show so much genuine love and respect for their mothers and be an amazing person in their community. Maybe life has taken them off a different path. So, for example, an example I can share with you is that, in my community, we live in a very safe community, but there was a string of robberies. And when we spoke to the police officer, they actually knew who this person was. Really handsome guy, young. And the police officer is like, this guy could be a genius in whatever field he chooses to be, because the level of skill and knowledge he has, he could do anything in this world because he's really brilliant. Like he keeps escaping them, with all of their high technology. But they're like, the problem is that he grew up with a father who did the same. He has a brother who does the same. He just lives it. That's all he knows. And it's very similar to this one story. It's called Two Men and an Alcoholic Father, where a father had two sons, and this father was an alcoholic. One son ended up being a very successful businessman, and the other son ended up being an alcoholic who was homeless. And when asked to each of these sons, why are you this way? They said, because I watched my father. So that right there shows us that we can choose who we want to be in this world. And this is to your point that all of us have the potential to change instantly, or over days, weeks, or over lifetimes. That is our free will choice. But you have to actually be ready to change. So you can either become a victim of your circumstances, like this robber that was on my street, or this person who's an alcoholic, homeless because he watched his father. You can choose to mimic your environment and allow life to tell you what it is, right? To conform to your circumstances, or you can choose to be better. You have two choices. You can be better or you can be bitter. And one will upward spiral you to your highest potential. One will downward spiral you into levels of rock bottoms. But that's our free will human choice. So yes, everybody can change. The clouds are always darkest before the sun rises. When you rise above the clouds, the sun is always there. The light always wins. In the end, we all win. We're all going to get there. But how fast we get there is our own free will. If we choose to face the obstacles, circumstances, and the darkness within us, if we choose to face that, The degree of ability to overcome that is degree of blessings and light and abundance and happiness and fulfillment that you're going to receive. So that's the inner work that we need to have the strength to walk through. So there's no such thing as a spiritual bypass. Even me, I'm a divine channel, but I have to walk through everything too.
I really love your answer. What I'm picking off, and you can say, no, that's not what I meant, is as long as they have a seed in them that is open to growth, open to healing, open to doing the work, that's a good sign. But if you're with someone who's narcissist or whatever the thing is, and they trash you, and they even attempt to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, run. Like, that's kind of how I'm getting it. Like, as long as there's no openness, no awareness that they can get better and they want to get better, it's probably best not to try and push. But I thought, when you were speaking, I thought like you could be with someone who was broken to pieces, but as long as they had the will to do the work, there's hope.
The desire.
Yeah, the desire. Wow.
100%. If you have an internal desire to change, you will change, and it could be instantaneous. But if you deflect your problems on other people and you take no responsibility and you don't want to change, that's the key. You have no desire to change, then you're going to keep getting stuck in that loop. The thing with women like myself, right? At that time when I was in a toxic relationship and I was broken, I knew I was unhappy, but it didn't occur to me that there could be something else because I was so scared of making a change, right? We're not here to fix broken people, broken circumstances, a broken world. We're meant to live our best life. And when we can do that, we can inspire others to live their best life too. You can only understand how to solve problems when you're able to rise above it. And when I was in this toxic cycle, I kept going over and over again. And I knew that I was so unhappy. And it didn't occur to me how wrong it was because that's all I knew. I had to step outside of it and look back to realize it. So if you're feeling very hurt, mistreated, unhappy, and you know that there's something bigger for you, then you have to know that that's your inner guidance system showing you that this is not in alignment to you anymore. Maybe at one time it was. Perhaps you've been doing growth and you've been doing healing and your frequency is no longer in alignment. And that could mean that now it's not that, that there's bad people. Maybe you've just risen above that frequency. You're no longer willing to accept it. So we have to find the courage within us to have hard conversations, make hard choices so that we can pivot back into divine alignment. And you'll know that it's the right choice if it gives you inner peace. It might be a hard conversation, but if it gives you inner peace, that you spoke your truth, that you found your truth, and now you're going to live your truth, even if you're not where you want to be, it shows you that you're now at least facing that direction. And when you surrender it all to divinity and you ask them for help, they will actually pivot you back into divine alignment and they'll show you the pathway because we're never alone. And this is what's really important. We're not doing this alone. I was told that in any given moment, there's thousands of light beings all around you all the time, from angels to your ancestors to ascended masters. They're all there for the purpose to help you. And you can hear them through your higher thoughts. They're like whispers to your soul. It energizes you. They'll energize your energy when you're on the right path, and it'll give you happiness. And they're always there to support you. But because of free will, they can't actually step in and make a way for us, because this is the part of why we're here, to learn and grow. We can't learn if somebody's always giving us the solution, right? But when we can ask them for help and we're like, listen, I have no idea what to do. I'm going to give this to you. Just please bless this or better. I don't even know if this is the right choice, but please show me a pathway to something better if it's meant for me. When we can just release it, then they actually step in the moment you release that, and they'll actually start to work in your life. And the prayer that you can say to them after, you can only ask them once. I mean, You don't have to repeat these things over and over again. You ask them once with your heart and you choose to do better and follow alignment with their nudges that they give you. And then you just keep saying thank you. Thank you is the highest form of gratitude, the highest form of prayer that you can ever say. It's wishes fulfilled.
Steph is on a mission to transform the world one beautiful soul at a time. And so I want to pivot Steph into the $1 million life blueprint. If I was listening, going, oh my God, how do I do all of that? I want you to kind of pivot and help us understand what the $1 million blueprint is, or how do I move from this place of darkness, of looping bad thing after bad thing after bad thing, getting stuck in this rat place, to a place of loving my life, having $1 million life,
Yes,
attracting everything that I want, and
absolutely.
being in an alignment with my North Star and all of the things that my heart desires. I would love for you to go there if that's okay.
For sure. This is the solution for humanity. This is what it is. So divinity has asked me to step in to show the blueprint to your $1 million life. It's called the blueprint to your $1 million life. And this again is a life that has nothing to do with money and everything to do with feeling like $1 million. So what this program is that they showed me is that all of us are meant to live in the highest timeline of our destiny. We all have a North Star, and our internal compass only points one direction, and that's up. Anytime you pivot away from it, that means you're in the wrong direction. And that's when you feel unhappiness. But when you're back into alignment, you're up towards your North Star. My program has a master astrologist who will do an astrology report for you of your past, present, and future. They will show you what your North Star is. Your North Star is your destiny, your sacred life's purpose. When you're in alignment to your sacred life's purpose, you feel fulfillment. You feel happiness, you feel joy, you feel peace, you feel excitement. They will show you what you have charted to experience in this world as your North Star. It will then show you what your life looks like today and what your life looked like in previous lifetimes, in the 1800s and the 1900s. The reason we do that is because there is a golden thread of karma that actually weaves between all of your lifetimes. Your lifetimes in the past actually feel very familiar to what you're experiencing today. So we'll show you what your life looked like, what you were experiencing. And my master astrologist, her greatest gift is that she can actually step into your soul and perceive it as if she was you. So she can feel your emotion, your pain, your happiness, your sorrow, and she documents this. She'll explain what you were doing, how life was looking for you, what your purpose was, and the reason you weren't able to fulfill it, what your main unresolved karma was at that time. Then she'll take a look at your life in the 1900s and do the same thing. And then she'll tell you what your life is right now, the reason why you're stuck in this lifetime. All of these past lifetimes, she actually has a letter from these past versions of yourself that are talking to you today and like, listen, this is in your own words. And it's like, when you listen to it, when you read it, it's such a deep inner truth. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like something that, it's all the energy.
Yeah. So we were on the $1 million blueprint and you were explaining the parts of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, it takes a look at what your life is today as well, and what the main thing that's holding you back from achieving your North Star. So not only is this a juicy astrology report, but the purpose, the intention behind it is to identify your deepest wounds that are not known to you consciously, so that as a healer, me and my healing team can extract this from your energetic matrix. This karma is so embedded into you that it's hard for you to move past. It's kind of entrapped you. And there's a new healing modality called Holy Light. And Holy Light is about 1,000 times more stronger than Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, so it's very powerful. and it unlocks you from these karmic strongholds. So if you had a fear that was so deep rooted, now it's being released. And what happens is that when this darkness is released from you, light then comes in. And what shows is a manifestation, a revelation of new gifts that awaken within you, the courage to forge forward to the things that you're once afraid of. And because you now have this compass, the blueprint, you know where you're headed, and this program puts you into divine alignment and teaches you the pathway so that you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. It shows you a heightened perspective, how to rise above the wheel of karma. And then the report actually shows you where your life will be 1 year after the program and after the healing and after the astrology, like after everything. And it'll show you the trajectory and how it's shifted, because we get to write our destiny with a pen on a moment-to-moment basis. And based on our free will choices, that trajectory can move. There's an infinite amount of timelines. That's why I say it's the highest timeline of your destiny, because there's infinite amount of choices that you can make or not do or not do now or later or procrastinate. There's so many choices. So it shows you how you can achieve the highest choice and bring that into your life today. That's the blueprint. So it's an 8-week course that is available.
So let me ask. So the first thing is the report. The past, the present, the future. And then there's a part where I understand the report. I'm just wondering how this report now clears, how I get to now clear my bad karma and how I get to maybe regular. Like, I'm wondering what the process is from like stuck in a toxic place, stuck in darkness, having feelings of I'm not worthy, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I have seen the report. It says, this is your past, this is your present, this is your future. These are the gets. I don't know. I'm just calling them gets. You could go here, 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 but this is your highest. This is how you can go faster. This is how you can condense time.
Yeah, acceleration. It's acceleration.
Okay. So now I see the map, I see the instructions, but Steph, I'm still with the programming and patterns and all of the beliefs and the bad commas. And so how do you get me to actually do the thing? Because I'm seeing it and going, yeah, looks good. And then I'm off to, so I guess I'm trying to understand the process, which I know you're delivering in the blueprint, but I guess I'm trying to understand the process so that I can make a decision, or I can go, oh my God, that makes a lot of sense. And so I can, like, I'm missing a piece. I don't know what piece I'm missing.
For sure. So what healing does, it basically removes the layer of darkness that's entrapping you. And when you remove that darkness, you increase your frequency. If you've started out over here, Prima, and you're scared in your scarcity mindset, and you're willing to allow people to mistreat you because that's all you know, then when you get healed, you remove these like dark spots from within you that somehow have thought that that was okay. Because when you're healed, you no longer allow people to mistreat you. You strengthen up, you raise your vibration. You're no longer a match for that frequency anymore. So it's raising your vibration from fear into love, to peace, to happiness, to joy. Abundance, when you're up to this place of frequency, you can attract anything it is that you desire, because you're now at the realm of divinity and angels and miracles, right? You can transform scarcity into an abundance mindset, and that's what this does. So it's identifying, targeting your deepest origin of pain that's stopping you. And when you heal it, you increase your frequency. When you increase your frequency, you become a magnet for blessings and the things that you do desire. A lot of us unconsciously miscreate a life that we don't want. It's not, we all desire a good life, but because of our pain that we're holding unconsciously, we're manifesting, but we're living a life we don't want. But when you can heal, rise above, and increase your frequency, then you can begin to consciously manifest and attract a life that you do want. And it's because the inside within you is no longer broken. You're now
Mm.
healed, and you're
Wow.
coming from a healed perspective. So instead of, oh my
Mm.
gosh, I need to change my circumstances. I'm so unhappy. I'm so unhappy. I'm so unhappy.
Mm.
And it's out of this place of desperation. That's what you're going to continue to always attract. When you're healed, you're like, I used to be that person that would allow this, but I'm so happy and grateful now that I see my own power, strength, and I see my own worth. So now I'm going to make other choices. And, I'm going to either work on this relationship, but from an empowered standpoint, where I'm not going to let them treat me. I'm going to create boundaries that are healthy boundaries, and I'm going to live life from this empowered state of mind, or
Mm.
I'm going to choose to leave. The choices are always mine, but I get to choose from this place of empowerment because I'm no longer in the battlefield. I've risen above, and now I'm an observer looking down, and I get to make these choices from an empowered place.
I love it.
Does
So
that make sense?
yeah, so this is what I'm getting. You get the report. This is a report about you. You get to know who you are. You get to know your present and future. You get to know your purpose. You get to know why you're here. You get to know how to tap into the highest, like how to condense time and speed to that place. What could you do
Yeah.
today to get to that highest self? Okay. After that, there's bad karma, there's things to clear, which is why we need to heal. Because the
Yeah.
healing is going to help us transform our frequency from scarcity to abundance, which
Yeah.
then abundance helps us to do the things we need to do to step in our purpose and get to our North Star.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. You
What
nailed it.
Yeah, so give me a good idea of what is possible for people who are able to surrender and go through the process, because it may not make sense from where you are right now. It may not make sense when you're broken and you don't see your value. It may not make sense when you're stuck in divorce after divorce after divorce. But for those who are able to surrender and say, okay, Steph, I don't know any of this and how it's gonna come true, but I'm gonna close my eyes and trust your heart and go. For those who are able to say, okay, Steph, I'm able to use whatever, people who are able to just hold on your shoulder and say, I don't even believe in myself, but I'm willing to come and see. And after all of this, what is possible as like, because I feel like it's so worth it. But I wonder if there's a way we can tangibly show someone what is possible for them after they've gone through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how about I give you an example of one of my
Mm.
students?
Okay, okay.
She lived in Eastern Europe,
Mm.
was attracted to my program. At that time, she was actually very suicidal. She had no job, no
Mm.
relationship in her older age, no worth. She had no idea what she was doing with her life. She was always getting herself sick. Sickness, by the way, is energy that's manifested into illness because it's trapped within you.
Mm.
She was ready to give up on life. And when this program was presented to her, she's like, I have nothing to lose because I already hate my life and I don't want to be here. So I feel like it was more of a divine calling, to be honest with you.
Mm.
So she too, English was not her first language, second language was her third language. And my program was not translated there, but she had such a strong desire to understand this. So she would translate my messages, the content, the homework into her language,
Mm.
and then translate it back into English so that she could like talk to me about it. But it showed me her dedication, right? And
Mm.
when divinity sees the degree of how much you're looking to change, they give you that same degree of up level. It's kind of like a bow and arrow. The
Mm.
more you get pushed back is the further you get to go forward, right? So she was finding so much healing and strength in just the knowledge that I was teaching. And then when she got the astrology report, she like threw it down. At first, she didn't believe that that was her. And then when she read it, she's like, oh my gosh, this is real. Like this is the problem. This is my problem I keep bringing into my life, right? So then when we were able to heal it, I healed it from her. That night, she actually was having a shower, and she was like kind of like having a detox in some way. She was like so cold in the shower. And then when she was sleeping, she was like sweating profusely. In the morning when she woke up, it was like the world was neutral, calm. Her insides were like peaceful. And she's like, what is happening? She used to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. She had no desire to smoke anymore. She lived with a narcissistic father who would always throw stones at her. And all of a sudden she's able to like, accept him for who he was and just coexist with him, but he never bothered her inner peace anymore. So then she understood what her real purpose was, and it was a healer. And she just decided to tap into that and learn. And the more she was learning, the more she was growing, and it filled her with so much joy. So now she's become a certified healer in her part of the world, healing so many people. And she's like, Steph, I finally understand what you mean about this $1 million life, because I don't have millions of dollars, but I'm just so happy. Like, I'm living my life, and I never imagined it could be this good. And I was
Wow.
like, this is it. Yeah.
Wow. So what I'm picking there, radical acceptance, I believe a part of that is discovering your abilities and gifts, inner trust, healing, getting empowered, liberation, understanding like the past. When it makes sense, then you can release yourself and radically accept yourself. Authenticity, joy. My
Yeah.
God, the benefits are, what did I leave there? Because I feel like there's so much to gain that I don't even know if, is there anything I left that you feel is a very important aftermath of doing this work?
I think the main thing
Mm.
is that a person needs to be ready to heal. We talked
Mm.
about it's always a choice. That's a personal choice. Healing is always a personal choice. Some of us aren't ready for it. And that doesn't mean that we're bad people. It just means that our soul isn't ready to face that yet. And what happens is that we'll still continue to live in the circumstances we're in until we're angry enough to change. And then we'll be ready. And that's okay, because the degree that you're ready is the degree of abundance that's going to come to you at that time and propel you faster, right? You need to be ready to change. You need to be ready to heal, and you need to be ready to shift up level in your life and make better choices. This is our free will. If you're going to continue to do the things that have kept you stuck and are making you unhappy, this program will not help you. And I'd rather you just save your time and money, because the healing will help you. But if you revert back and not listen to anything or do what you're supposed to, you're going to, through free will, go back to your old stature. But
Yes.
I've actually never seen that. When people are ready to heal, that's what attracts them to this. You'll know you're attracted if this energizes you and you're leaning in. You're like, oh my gosh, this is cool. What could be possible for me? And what could it feel like to be healed and not have to live with all of this weight on my shoulders and unhappiness and shame and guilt? What could that be like? And then they're going to step forward and they're going to like show up 100% present and do what they need to do to transform their life. Because I'm a teacher. I'm not going to make this happen for you. You have to go home at the end of the day and follow through, right? But I'm showing you the fastest pathway to get from this to that, from nothing to everything, showing you the pathway of the masters, the ascended masters. It's fully channeled. It's a divinely channeled program from a higher source, and it has the power to activate. It's a process of death to rebirth to ascension. If you imagine a triangle, death of your old life that's keeping you stuck and happy, a rebirth of your new life, which is healing, and ascension is a quantum jump into your future to the highest timeline of your destiny. That's what this is. It's a triangle. And we
Wow.
take you through that journey of a triangle. So I hold your hand every week. You actually meet an ascended master that has been channeled through me. You meet them. We do light activations where you bring in their energy and they shift and transform you on a supernatural level. So I'm here as a human being, but this is a course that's supernatural, where they come in into your exact moment of time and with the precision of them knowing everything about you, they will help to shift and transform your life. But it's the degree that you're willing to let go that you'll see the degree of change. People like the student I told you about, she literally had nothing that was worth living at that point. So she surrendered it all. But sometimes we're still holding, like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Any resistance, it's okay because we're human beings, but it's the degree of change. So because of this reason, I make this program available as a lifetime. You know, you can always go back and retake it and redo it, because when you do, and so many of my students have, they see things, hear things, do things, perceive things from a different perspective, but it's a heightened level. Things that they weren't able to grasp at one point, they're now like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. So it's part of that journey that I have this program available where they're going to be able to do it.
I love it. Is there anything else they need to know about the program before we tell them how to get it? Is there anything else that you need to share about it?
No, that's pretty much it. It's 8 weeks. What it is, it's video modules, one video module per week. It is a self-study, so you can do it however long it is that you need. So you can fit in the nooks and crannies of your life. So it's perfect for busy people, right? You listen to a module, the PowerPoint deck is available to you that you can refer to after. There's homework that is the miracle. It activates miracles in your life because now you're applying this into your life. And that's where huge shifts are. And there's also meditations, light activations, and affirmations that are going to recode your subconscious mind. And that I encourage people to listen to on a daily basis. It's available on an app. So they can just wake up on their, you know, open their phone and listen to it right away. And this is what shifts the trajectory of their life so fast.
Where should one go to access this $1 million blueprint or course or resource? If they're like, oh my God, I can't wait. Like, where should they go? What should they do to access it?
Sure. So if you go onto yourmilliondollarlife.com, you'll see a landing page that describes all of the information of what my program is, who it helps, how it can help you. And from there, there's a register now button where you can register for the program. Upon registering, there is an astrology intake form where we'll ask you for your astrology report, your date of birth, the time of your birth, the location of where you were born, and your name at the time when you were born. And once we do this, we start preparing it so that way you'll receive it at the specific time. It's after module 3. And yeah, so all you have to do is register from there and you'll receive a welcome email. We'll give you the access to the portal so you can begin right away. If you're not quite sure, if you have questions, I would say a call to action would be to message me and book a strategy call to unlock the blueprint to your $1 million life, to see how this program can help you in your own life, your own circumstances. And I'm happy to set up a 30-minute call for free and we can talk about that.
Love it. So there's going to be different people. If you're like me, who sees what they want and they know what they want, and you have your credit card in your hands, go ahead. There'll be links in the show notes that take you to the landing page with the course. You can read the words there that explain it even further, and you can right away get started, get your report, get moving. Like if you're like me, you're like, there's no time to waste, let's go. But if you're also someone who likes to think and ask and question, it's totally fine. Message Steph, get on call with her and ask all of your questions. Again, this is the divine program, and if it's meant to be for you, it is for you. So there will be less, there's no obligation. You're either ready for the work or you're not. And so if you're feeling like good people, you're feeling the calling, or you're feeling like, oh my God, this is it. Steph exists because you have the cry. And just like every other speaker, her message exists today because there is someone crying for the answer. That could be you, and that doesn't have to be you.
Yes. And that's where my heart goes to, is the underdog, because I always felt like one too. You know, I felt like I suffered And the greatest pain that I suffered, I'm now living the highest timeline. I flipped it. I flipped that pain into I transformed my pain into my purpose, my mess into my message. And I want to show everybody that even though your circumstances look like they may not ever be able to change, it is possible. The light always wins. There is something really important that only you can do in this world. And when you awaken your mind to what's possible, you're going to start to see solutions and opportunities and pathways you never knew existed and supernaturally open up to you. So my heart goes to the underdog because in my heart, I still am one. That's how I always felt in this world, but I transformed that now into empowerment. One thing too, Prima, I wanted to say that we haven't had a chance to talk to is about the healing, because healing is not something that's known by a lot of people. When I heard about healing first, I thought it's like, you go to a doctor and you get medicine. This is energetic healing, and my students are all over the world. And when you do healing, this is remote healing, where you'll do a FaceTime, like a one-on-one, where we see you. My team of healers will look at you and see you, and you'll relax in your bed. You can put on candles, incense, set intentions, but they're going to have a list of everything that you're ready to heal, from your astrology report, from the ego mind that's keeping you stuck, from your reverse ego mind, that place of unworthiness. So everything that you're ready to heal, our healers will do that remotely. And because we're energy in the quantum space, there is no such thing as time or space. So as we heal you, you're actually, your body and your energy is immediately starting to change. And we've had students supernaturally even, feel the vibration. They can feel shifts and changes and tingling on their third eye, and they've had visitations from angels and ascended masters. That's really so, so beautiful. Everyone has different experiences with it, but it's all perfect for who they are and where they are in their life. So I wanted to just explain that to the audience, that healing may not, it's not in person, but it's just as powerful as if it were to be. And that's the beauty of what this program is. And many of my healers are channels as well. So they'll give you messages from divinity to help you accelerate on that path.
So let me see if I understand. There's like a physical point in the program where people will show up maybe on Zoom and go through a process of healing, or is it me sitting in the course and doing something that helps me heal? I'm just trying to see, is that like
so both. So you'll actually get a physical one-on-one session with a healer.
Okay.
You'll get the astrology report, you'll identify those inner wounds, and then you're going to get a one-on-one healing session to remove those wounds. That's where I was saying that, like, we're going to actually target everything that's holding you back, and that's going to increase your frequency. And then the program is showing you how to live a better life, to live your best life, how to stop going back to doing the same patterns, and how to shift and up level everything you're doing.
Ultimately, the best, the bigger, the grandest gesture you can do to bless the work, calling on my heart, to spread these messages, to bless Mahony and her message, the message that is on her heart, channeled to help heal the world, transform lives, one soul at a time, is scan through your life and pick one person that you believe deserves $1 million life. But right now is the underdog. Right now, they're stuck in a toxic relationship. Right now, their life doesn't look like anything in their dreams. This is an important moment for me, because it's a calling that is above myself as well. Who do you know in your life right now that you want to bless with the gift of Steph Mahony? Who do you know that deserves $1 million life? I want you to pick this link, and I want you to drop it in their private space. Is it WhatsApp? Is it SMS? Where do you chat with this person? Pick one human being today and bless them with the gift of this expert, because Steph wouldn't exist if there weren't souls in the world crying because of where they are at. And so the way this works is I am here, I'm the messenger. Steph is the soul, the vessel that does all of the magic, and you are the transporter of the message. That's how this channel works. So stop and pause and just push this message. And if you're here because somebody loved you enough, cared enough, thought about you, and shared this, you don't want to be the person breaking the thread. It is clear to me that this is how we will beat marketing. This is how we will beat everything else. When human beings can be practically involved in creating a thread that no one can break. The bond we can create through sharing this message is not anything that any marketing, anything that comes up, any AI will break. And so if you're here, you're being called to be the vessel, the transporter for this message. So share it, pass it on, and do not be the person that broke the thread. Steph, we're winding up, but we would love to hear your last words of wisdom. As a divine channel, what are your last words for us who are listening to you right now? What do you feel called to share?
Sorry, are you asking for my favorite quote?
I'm asking for your last words. What do you feel led to share as your final words of wisdom right now?
So there's so much. No, I can't change anybody. I'm here to inspire everybody, though. I believe that we can inspire everybody. And sometimes when you look at your life and feel so overwhelmed with choices and what to do, I always go back to this one quote from Mother Teresa, and it really helps put things into perspective. And the quote that she said is, if you can't feed 100 people, feed just one. And that's how I live my life. If I can't help 100 people, I help just one. If I can't heal 100 people, I help heal just one. I do what I can with what I have, with where I am at this one moment, whatever I can do. And the power of one is the power of everything. It opens a portal of miracles in a person's life. You can become the savior or the answers fulfilled, a prayer fulfilled for somebody who's in a time of need. We're all souls on this world, and we all have that power to share. And whether or not you do or don't do this program, we can all live with that mentality to help at least one person a day. Whether that's a person, a being, an animal, a circumstance, we're all souls manifested into this world in different forms. And when we can see we're all one at the end of the day, that's what's going to enlighten us and see true happiness, because we're doing something bigger than ourselves. We're connecting to the oneness of who we truly are.
That's Steph Mahony for you. I hope this episode has blessed you dearly. If you're on this channel, there's no doubt you're called for more. There is no doubt you're being called to use your gifts for good. So I hope this has helped you. And if you feel like there's more that you need, just scan through the channel, come back every week, scan through the experts. For every cry on your heart, there's an expert that carries a vessel, that message. There's an envelope that someone is carrying. And so if you feel called for more, if you're called to rise up, if you're called to discover your gifts, if you're called for all of those things and you're like, how on earth am I supposed to do this? Worry not. Just come back every week, scan through the topics and find the expert that has your message. As usual, grab the app, review, rate, comment, do everything that the channel is asking you to do. Follow, subscribe, because it really takes one. It takes one person to do the thing I'm saying. And one by one, I believe that one by one, we will change their life, one person at a time. I appreciate you coming out today. As always, I will see you next time. Have a beautiful day.
Bye, everyone.
That is it, my friend. To To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.